Okay, so I know people want me to talk about the Vi stuff that we got in the trailer, but oh my god, we need to talk about the leaked Vi montage first. I still cannot believe that they chose to show people such a pivotal but also kind of enigmatic part of Vi's Season 2 arc. For those who don't know what I'm referring to here, I have no idea who knows about this and who doesn't, but last week at the Annecy Animation Festival, FourSeconds had a panel, Amanda Overton was there, and they showed everyone this Vi montage and explained a lot about a really important part of her Season 2 character journey, and I unfortunately wasn't there in person. I didn't see anything, and they didn't allow any pictures or video, but let's just say I heard quite a lot about it, and the big reveal was Pit Fighter Vi. Let me repeat that. Pit Fighter Vi. Are you hearing this? Even just the way it sounds amazing. The montage they showed of Pit Fighter Vi takes place at the midpoint of the season, and Amanda Overton described this sequence in the following way, and I'm paraphrasing here, I'm sprinkling some of my own commentary on the bones of what was said. So Vi is a protector. Whether that's protecting her siblings, or her father, or her girlfriend, she has people she cares about, and her life is standing between them and those who would hurt them. Middle of Season 2 finds Vi alone. For the first time ever, we get to see what Vi is like without anyone in her life to protect. What would Vi be if she thought about herself first? What is that person? Those were the questions the writers were pushing themselves to answer this season in this part of Vi's story. And the answers were not pretty. I mean, figuratively speaking, that is. From the way they describe Vi's physical changes this season, oh boy. Vi fans are in for a treat, but we'll get to that. Anyway, when you take away everyone from a person who really doesn't care about themselves and has never had a situation in which their life is valuable in its own right, separate from its supportive role for others, the result of that is rapid, destructive deterioration. We're told that Vi is someone who at this point doesn't see herself as belonging to the Undercity anymore, which is consistent with Season 1. It was already not the Undercity she grew up in, and that pushed her into the loving caress of a certain adorably hot cupcake girl, but that didn't exactly work out either, and maybe there's a second chance after this, after circumstance forces them back onto the same side, after Vi is finally forced to accept that her sister is a monster, but these two still come from completely different worlds. And even though the world Vi is from doesn't really exist anymore, that doesn't just remove the obstacles between her and integration into Piltover society. So we have an unanchored Vi adrift between these two cities at war, and we're told that in the scene that Vi ends up physically between these two worlds as well. This arena of sorts, this pit fighting stadium, has popped up in this limbo zone between Zaun and Piltover, and fighters are coming from all over competing for glory, presumably, money, we're not told. We hear an announcer speaking, it really is like a Coliseum sports type thing, and apparently we see some old faces return, old opponents of Vi even. So alone and adrift, Vi becomes one of these pit fighters, and the montage shows her losing herself. Vi's life transforms into this hopelessly repetitive cycle of explosive violence in the arena during the day, all out partying at night, crashing at her gross nothing of a living space, and then doing it all again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day, and the next. Time passes during this montage. It's unclear if this is the time skip of the season. It's hard to know based on what they told us, but enough time passes that Vi emerges into the stage of her life with a new look. And part of this is about her on a character level having a real identity crisis during this part of her life, but then part of it is also intentional. For some reason she finds it necessary to obscure her own identity. So she makes her hair less pink, which to be honest I don't quite believe, because that goes against my grand Haley Steinfeld archetype theory. We all know that Haley Steinfeld characters' hair gets pinker in sequels. That's just the rule. Anyway, Vi's hair becomes less vibrantly pink, she grows it out longer, and she also takes measures to obscure her face, most importantly the tattoo of her name on her face. And we're told that she does this by wearing war paint in the arena. The panel people described it as Viking-like, kind of a barbarian aesthetic. It's dark, it's greasy, her hair is also greasy and darker. Vi's appearance in general at this stage of her life sounds overall very grimy and gritty and greasy. So what I'm telling you is that Season 2, we are getting Dirty Vi, and I am so excited. I thought naively that I had a crush on regular Vi, but I haven't even seen greasy, dirty pit fighter Vi, and I already have like twice the crush on her. She is going to break so many hearts, mine included, already broken. Okay, moving on. Anyway, there is one more aspect Amanda Overton mentioned, which is extremely concerning. One more element to this rock-bottom downward Vi spiral that we're witnessing, which is that during this part of her life, Vi starts to hallucinate people from her past. I said in the first trailer analysis video that I thought the hooded figure is either Victor or the Jace mage guy, but the other option that I've heard is that it's Vi's hallucination of Jinx. And my reaction to all this is two things. Number one, it makes a lot of sense as a development for someone like Vi. Of course she can't just move on from her whole world. If she held on to her love for Powder for years while she was in jail through sheer willpower, that part of her is just too powerful to drown out no matter how much she tries to smother it. And number two, to bring up that infamous Christian Link Season 2 interview again, he's told us that the characters of Season 2 become the opposites of who they were in Season 1. And Amanda actually echoes this sentiment directly in the panel by saying that the writers early on search out these distant destinations for their characters, imagining them being so different from who we know them to be, and then they task themselves with finding realistic and powerful ways to get them there. We've already seen the switcheroo of the season 2 poster. Vi is becoming Jinx and Jinx is becoming Vi, and now with these hallucinations we see that happening on a totally different level as well. And now I think we can finally start talking about the trailer. If you had asked me before the panel when I thought Enforcer Vi happens, I would have said, I did say, end of Act 1. But post-panel, if this Pit Fighter thing happens in the middle of the season, I now have no idea when this Enforcer thing happens. Pit Fighter arc threw a wrench into everything I was expecting. But still, it's my job to speculate on this stuff. So here's what I think is going to happen. I'm going to go with a slightly bolder version here. I think we get 2 eras of Enforcer Vi. One without the goggles, and one with. And the goggles, by the way, would appear to be Cligers, which, yes, is very sad. But this is the way I could see it playing out. Season 1 ends, Vi and Kate are back together, but now Kate is the one who's changing. Her mother was killed by this person Vi loves, even if she's growing more and more distant from her. And to be kind of real, Kate has lived a very sheltered life up until now. And we love her for it, but that's kind of the problem. That purity, that emotional heart of the story that made everything about Kate feel so warm in season 1, that has been crushed. Kate has now lived through some of what Vi lived through that gave her such a dark, hopeless view of society and of the future. So I think as far as opposites go, we're gonna see cruelty and coldness from Kate this season. You can hear a new edge to her voice, maybe it's desperation or even a touch of zealotry when she's stating these 3 objectives. I still think this happens in Act 1. We have pandemonium after the attack, but then all that hurt and anger and fear coalesces into plans like Kate's. If we can do these 3 things, we can win. We can end the war now. And Vi does want to end the war, and she also is hurting for her girlfriend. But of course, as we Arcane fans know all too well by now,
nobody wins in war, Vi.
Maybe Piltover makes some progress in some of these objectives. Maybe they hurt Shimmer production, maybe they clash somewhat effectively with the Soko loyalists. I think we'll probably encounter Jinx, but she'll slip through our fingers, and things will just get messier and messier, more and more suffering, no real progress. At this point, Kate the Firebrand will still be all gung-ho, full steam ahead, but Vi will know where this is going, and that will create a very pronounced wedge between them. I'm guessing Vi's lingering feelings of pity for her sister will also get in the way. Maybe it will be her fault that Jinx slips away, and I'm guessing that based on her later line, that sounds like she's letting Kate know that she no longer has these feelings of pity for her sister. Maybe at this point, the old oil and water question will rear its ugly head once again. Kate could question Vi's loyalty, or disapprove of some Undercity aspect of how Vi wants to go about this whole thing. Maybe we'll see the classic Vander Grayson friction between Undercity collective loyalty and Piltovan order. But yeah, I think Act 1 ends in failure and separation. That first initial push of the war goes terribly, and begins to dawn on all of our characters that we're in for a much larger conflict, possibly an endless one. Act 2, Vi and Kate go their separate ways. Vi has her pit fighter phase where she tries to erase herself and erase her struggles, her past, her trauma. That doesn't work, as we said. But then after a long span of time, Kate comes back to Vi, and things have changed by this point. The war effort is messed up. And while Vi was off being lost, Kate was also off being lost, being disillusioned by what Piltover was becoming. And she ends up feeling just as homeless and adrift as Vi, which is, if we think back to season 1, exactly where these two started. Maybe Kate helps Vi face something about her past. Maybe that involves giving Vi Cligers goggles, which she took from the Tea Party ages ago and saved for Vi, and then we see that become a symbol of Vi's new healthier relationship to her past, and acceptance that it is a part of her. Maybe this is who she has to protect, all the little Cligers and Milos still out there, and now Vi is developed, and she's ready to reconnect with Kate again, ready to join forces with her. That's on a character level. On a plot level, Kate has a new lead. Not to win the war for Piltover or to crush Zon, but just to stop something terrible from happening. There's some new cause for desperation involving Jinx. Maybe Kate's superiors aren't even acknowledging it, maybe they don't believe it, or maybe Piltover doesn't even know about it and Kate's on her own. Maybe what Jinx was working on this whole time is getting close to being completed, something like that. Maybe Jinx crossed some line that no one thought she would cross. I've heard other theories that sound reasonable to me about Jinx going to Stillwater at the end of Act 1, spending all of Act 2 deteriorating just like Vi, just like Kate, and then in Act 3 maybe she escapes, and maybe that's why Vi and Kate have to go after her again. Either way, whatever it is, this new Jinx development has left Vi without hope for her sister. Maybe whatever line Jinx crossed or whatever she's working on has left Vi disgusted with her, or maybe it's just so dangerous that Vi has to bury whatever lingering feelings have stopped her before and just do what must be done. Either way, she has this renewed determination to take Jinx down, and it comes out like this.
My sister is gone. This has to end. Jinx!
Finally got the name right.
Powder is dead. I have to see this person as just the monster. And that leads us to our final showdown between the sisters, unless something else intervenes. And that's the final question here. Warwick, aka Undead Vander, what role is he going to play in all of this? My working Warwick theory until now has been that this season 2 poster showing Vi traumatized in Jinx's arms has everything to do with Warwick. I think that is the only thing at this point that could terrify Vi to this extent and render her into this paralyzed, haunted state. The way I thought that was going to go down based on the first season 2 teaser was that we think we're headed towards a showdown between the sisters to end Act 3, and that does happen, but then Warwick crashes the party, and we get the real showdown between the sisters versus the undead ghosts of their past. And somehow, all this fits eerily well into my predicted Vi timeline. Act 1, Vi thinks she's moved on and can just join in on Kate's crusade and win the war, and she just could not be more wrong on both fronts. Nobody wins in the war, and Vi has not moved on. These failures are both devastating and disorienting for Vi, and at this point, punctuating this moment, that's when we get our first glimpse of Warwick. In the fog of all this hopeless, endless warfare, as Vi is realizing that she cannot escape her past, she sees this monster for the first time, and her mind identifies it on some level as her dead father, which she knows cannot be true. So to her, this is the first of her hallucinations, and that terrifies her. And that is one of the main things she's running away from during her Pitfighter era in Act 2. And then Act 3 starts. Vi thinks she's recentered herself, thinks she has constructed a new healthy and sturdy identity, thinks the past has stopped haunting her. Vi is ready for anything, as we all know Vi is the strong one. And then Warwick enters the scene, but for real this time. It wasn't a hallucination. The ghost of the past that Vi has feared up until now is back to destroy her, and she is utterly unprepared. She crumbles. It is too much for someone like her, but not for someone like her sister. Jinx has had a lifetime of confronting ghosts of her past, and she is not caught off guard by this at all. Jinx sees her sister struggling, and she goes and fights Warwick alone, and we finally see Powder protecting Vi instead of the other way around, and she kills him. She kills her own father again for the third time, but on purpose this time, not as a freak chaotic accident, but to protect someone who she will always care about. That was my theory for the final step of the sisters arc, but now that I've heard more of Vi's story, here's an alternative version, and I think this is slightly more likely. Warwick leaves Vi paralyzed, and Jinx is capable, but Jinx is capable of facing the ghosts. As far as sheer strength, Jinx is no match for Vander. Vi has been struggling to put the past behind her. She's been running from this exact manifestation of what haunts her, but all this time she's also been battling this deep urge. She's been straining against who she is, which is the girl who protects her sister. And now her sister needs protecting. Vi has to be the one to kill Vander. That is the final test.
How far are you willing to go for your sibling?
In season 1, that question was asked of Jinx, your father or your sister, and Jinx made her decision. In season 2, Vi will be asked the same question, your father or your sister, and Vi will have to make the same decision. And that terrible decision which separated the sisters at the end of season 1 is going to bring them close in season 2. Vi did what she had to do, but it's left her destroyed. And this is when we'll see the poster scene. Jinx will comfort Vi, this time feeling a new bond with her. She doesn't need to test her sister's love anymore. I can trust you now, because now I'm not the only monster. I think that's how the season will end. Whew. Okay. Subscribe. I need to give another huge thanks to the people who helped me talk all this out. My good friends Joe, Aiden, Squirkle. Go subscribe to their YouTube channels. And all the people in the comments too who offered thoughts and theories. Everyone on the Discord server. Other conversations I had, Kamaya, Hunterable, I'm sure I'm forgetting people. Thank you to everyone. And also, the absolute biggest thanks to the secret agent, the secret agent, who attended the Annecy panel and got all this information back to me. Thank you. You are a legend. Legendary status forever in the Schnee Hall of Fame. But yeah, that's basically all I got. I have got no read whatsoever on Echo and Heimerdinger, literally zero. I don't think Echo will be joining up with Jinx, even if some of the Firelights do. But aside from that, I'll leave it to you. Comment with any thoughts or theories you have about these two characters. I've also seen some people talk about new potential characters from League lore. For example, we got this big face, we got the statue behind Jinx in the confrontation scene. I'm not a League player, I don't really know lore, so tell me what's going on with all that stuff if you're someone who does understand what's being hinted at here. I would love to hear it. But yeah, until we get more season 2 promos, that's it for this series. Hope you all enjoyed, and thanks for watching.